It's time to talk about WandaVision, and spoiler alert, it's all Mephisto. Everything, everyone, Mephisto. The whole show, all around, 100%, totally Mephisto. No.
Oh yes, your children. Vision, this whole little life you've made. This is chaos magic, Wanda. And that makes you the Scarlet Witch.
Hey guys, PopGamer1202 here with some Marvel content, which I don't normally do, but that's just because as my channel was taking shape in 2020, there wasn't a lot to talk about in terms of the MCU. Now it seems like all that anyone is talking about is the MCU, so here we are. Since before WandaVision kicked off, through every consistently engaging episode, the internet has been full of theories. Some have already been proven accurate, and others have been shut down pretty hard, but going into the finale, the speculation is bigger than it ever has been before, and the conversation coming out of episode 8 and going into episode 9 is endless. I'm making this video to let you in on not only my thoughts, but also everybody else's. So if you enjoy and are ready for the apparently 50-minute finale, make sure to show support down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do, feel free to hit that little bell icon to be notified whenever I upload. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter at PopGamer1202 and check out all the other links in the description below. Here are 10 things that might happen in the WandaVision finale. The way I see it, there's 2 threats looming over this episode, and they have to kick off by taking care of one of them, the Agatha Harkness problem. Vision's on his way back to Wanda and the kids, and I think the perfect execution would be to have Vision come up behind Agatha, maybe drop a one-liner. Even if that doesn't happen and Wanda just takes care of Agatha all on her own, we do know that the family will be back together again. Because if we take a look at this promo image, it looks like Wanda, Vision, Billy, and Tommy are going full-on fighting with my family. Now we could get into how obvious it is that Wanda is an Incredibles fan, because not only was it playing at the cinema in episode 6, but there's also pretty obvious parallels between this shot and this one. Now the question is, will Agatha join the fight? Either Harkness is a one-and-done villain and we see her ending in this episode before she even really gets the chance to begin, or the MCU follows the same route as the comics, in which Agatha is almost a mentor figure to the Scarlet Witch. That path could begin with Wanda and Agatha teaming up in this episode. You never know. What is grief if not love persevering? That's a great question, Vision. Speaking of which, there's 2 of that guy now. Yes, that's right. Director Hayward, who deserves to get punched in the face by the Hulkbuster over and over again, lied about Wanda stealing the body and manipulated this entire situation so he could build this white version of Vision. I'm sure in this episode we'll see the 2 Visions face off in a classic comic cliche of the hero versus an evil version of himself, but I ultimately believe we should prepare ourselves for the fall of both of them, meaning no more Vision and no happy ending for Wanda. I already think I need therapy, but that'll definitely lock it in. Seriously, I think it's totally possible that this episode ends off on a just as devastating state as the last episode. I definitely hope I'm wrong, but unfortunately, I'm never wrong. Anyways, I keep seeing this theory that I am totally down for. What if White Vision is Ultron? According to Google, James Spader is set to return as Ultron in WandaVision. They were right about Evan Peters, so maybe they're right about James Spader too. A lot of Age of Ultron has come full circle in WandaVision. The only thing that's missing is Ultron himself, but maybe he's not missing and maybe we'll see him in the finale.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
Even though half the internet is saying the same thing, if White Vision sounds a lot like Ultron, I'll take full credit, thank you. Oh, and based off this promo image, I think it's safe to assume that Wanda is getting a new suit in this episode, which makes sense because she's now the full-on Scarlet Witch, and in correspondence with that, I think it's definitely time for an upgrade. By the way, the comment section is 100% open for all of your thoughts and theories, so go down there, let me know what you think going into the finale. Will the end of WandaVision be the beginning of the X-Men in the MCU? Whether or not Pietro, fake Pietro, is the same Quicksilver we see in the X-Men universe, the X-Men are still coming to the MCU eventually, and the best way to transition into that is with something like WandaVision. Paul Bettany teased a cameo in this series of an actor that he's wanted to work with his whole life, and assuming that he's not talking about himself, which is a total possibility because it's Paul Bettany, what if he's talking about a legacy actor like Ian McKellen as Magneto or Patrick Stewart as Professor X? I personally would rather see Professor X roll in. I think that'd be very fitting. My channel artist and good friend Justin keeps giving me a bunch of nonsense about how he thinks Magneto will show up in this episode. I don't agree with him, but don't tell him I said that. Don't get your hopes up, but maybe, just maybe, Paul Bettany was being serious, and there's this huge cameo in this episode, and it will be the start of the X-Men arc in the MCU. Speaking of introducing a world of new characters, let's not forget about that aerospace engineer, you know, the one Monica was talking about. Looking back at interviews with the cast and crew, it doesn't seem like this was just crazy Marvel fans tricking themselves into believing that there's a bigger deal here. There is definitely a bigger deal here. I think that maybe we see this aerospace engineer in the finale, and maybe it's Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, or maybe Riri Williams, who will eventually become Ironheart. Now back to how I think this episode is going to wrap up. Remember that WandaVision is a direct tie-in into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And we also know that Elizabeth Olsen will return as the Scarlet Witch and play a prominent role alongside Benedict Cumberbatch in that movie. In Far From Home, which takes place after WandaVision, we find out that Stephen Strange is unavailable, probably busy dealing with whatever the result of this finale is. So I think it's possible the ending of WandaVision and maybe even a post-credit scene tie directly into Doctor Strange. Maybe we see Benedict Cumberbatch, maybe we don't. I think people are really confused about what the future of the MCU is going to look like, and that makes sense because this phase is going to be very complicated, but I don't think this finale will directly tie into Spider-Man. I think if they're going to tease anything, it will be Wanda's involvement in Doctor Strange 2. So Spider-Man fans, don't get your hope up for anything related to No Way Home. I could be wrong, but like I said, I'm never wrong. Despite the focus being on the title characters, Wanda and Vision, we'll probably see more of Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis in this episode. That's less of a thought and more of a hope, because I want to see more Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis.
Snooper's gonna snoop.
At least that's what Pietro said to Monica at the end of episode 7. Episode 8 took the focus away from that situation, but it's still a looming problem. I mean, where is Monica? Who is Pietro? Is he still under Agatha's control? Are we going to get to see who the real Pietro is? I think so. In an interview with Brandon Davis of comicbook.com, director Matt Shakman said in response to a question about whether or not Pietro is tied into the X-Men universe, or if it's just a coincidence that Evan Peters is in the WandaVision and is this fake Pietro. He hinted that there will be more to talk about, which means they are probably diving deeper into Pietro in the finale, so don't put all of your wild theories to rest just yet. While Pietro probably isn't Mephisto, there is more going on there, and all the secrets will be revealed in this next episode. Hopefully. But I'm not saying the end of WandaVision will be a solid, straight ending. I'm actually going to say the exact opposite. WandaVision is kicking off a whole new phase of the MCU, a whole new saga of the MCU. The ending is not just going to be an ending. I'm sure we'll get something that not only leaves us with a lot of questions, but also reels in the future of the MCU. I'm all here for that, even if it means we don't get a definite ending to this story. Either way, grab your box of tissues, because this finale is going to be an absolute wild ride, and I am so incredibly ready. If you guys are too and enjoyed this video, make sure to show support down below and all that other fun stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'll probably do a reaction review to the finale on Friday, so stay tuned. Who's been messing up everything? It's been Agatha.